Welcome back to the HenShow Network, everybody. Thank you for joining me for episode number 4, the big zinger. Just kidding. As you can see, I am not where I normally am. I am traveling right now due to some circumstances. So either way, I am still wanting to provide videos for you all. We're still going to continue on the topic of The Committee of 300, the book by John Coleman. And the 3 main topics of today's episode that I want to discuss are energy pricing, nuclear energy, and why it's important to have affordable energy. Second, the claims made in John Coleman's book regarding their plans intentionally made for recessions and depressions, and how it seems like we're seeing that today. Finally, I'll give you an update on the public records request using the CORA Act that I did to get information regarding the Taurus project that's coming to Colorado near Garden of the Gods. So let's jump into it. So as we continue in the book, The Committee of 300, you will see how what he is saying relates currently to the AI data centers and the survey from last video that I mentioned about the approval ratings of people and how they actually really dislike the AI data centers and how nuclear energy is important. Anyway, I used to believe the narrative that nuclear energy sites were bad because I remember seeing the documentary about the 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl, and I was thinking, wow, that's horrible because what can be done? I mean, a nuclear cleanup is almost impossible with that kind of radiation. There's no real remedy to it yet. And so I was against nuclear energy for a while because of that. But John Coleman actually states one needs to have a clear understanding of just why it is that nuclear power is so hated all over the world, and why the fake environmentalist movement was called upon to wage war on nuclear energy. So as he continues, with nuclear energy generating electricity in cheap and abundant supplies, third world countries would gradually become independent of U.S. foreign aid and begin to assert their sovereignty. Nuclear generated electricity is the key to bringing third world countries out of their backward state, a state which the Committee of 300 has ordered to remain in position. Now, why do I find this important? How is it related to my other videos or topics? Well, last video, the polls that were showing what's approval rating is 71% of Americans are not in favor of AI data centers. However, that number with nuclear energy was never that high. As this article states here, in the same March survey, 53% of Americans say they oppose building a nuclear energy plant in their area, far less than 71% opposed to data center construction. Since Gallup first asked the nuclear power plant question in 2001, the high point of opposition has been 63%, so still not as high as the AI data centers. And I think that's so important because people are in disagreement with these AI data centers much more than nuclear energy ever was, and they even had a propaganda campaign against nuclear energy. But now there is a propaganda campaign for AI data centers and how they will be good for us. Okay, so why am I even discussing this? Well, it is because electricity is important for a thriving economy, which I'm sure many of us don't feel like it's thriving right now. And I want to tie this into why I think the energy and the AI data centers are actually something that they had planned for years in advance, because it didn't even start getting a lot of recognition until it feels like a couple of years ago. But AI data centers, as I showed in the last episode, this graph, have been around for a very long time. There's actually a bunch all around the United States, Virginia being the top of the list for having over 600 AI data centers in it, or data centers in general, I should say. I'm not sure if they're all AI. Again, I think this is pre-planned, and it makes me consider then the appliances in our homes. How many of the appliances that we have are all running on electricity. They're going out with gas heating or even gas stoves. And I used to be against gas stoves, still personally don't really like them. All of the homes, especially modern homes, are built with energy dependent appliances. Well, in order to use the necessities / luxuries that we currently have in our houses, we take energy. So then that means like they can monopolize on the price of energy. So our energy bill will just continue to skyrocket, and we have no real say about it unless we're all supposed to just install these solar panels in yards or whatever it be. But sometimes people don't have that option. Maybe they're in an apartment building, there's nowhere to hang it, or even the price of the generator batteries that can be powered by solar are expensive. So cheaper energy makes for cheaper production. But as we can see here, it definitely feels like there's some bigger plan or conspiracy as to why energy prices are so high. But as the theme of this book continues, this does seem like it's planned. He literally states, "The Club of Rome is a conspiratorial umbrella organization, a marriage between Anglo-American financiers and the old black nobility families of Europe, particularly the so-called nobility of London, Venice, and Genoa. The key to the successful control of the world is their ability to create and manage savage economic recessions and eventual depressions." Now, doesn't that really feel like what's happening now? It does feel intentionally planned, with the wars and the depletion of our resources and many wars that we didn't even get a say on or a vote on. And we're just supposed to trust our elected and unelected officials to make those decisions for us, when many people don't agree with what is going on. Just like many people don't agree with the AI data centers, yet they're still trying to push it along because it's their agenda. But I do believe that agenda is actually to destroy the United States, because it's the one thing that stands in the way of their one world government. And I will read another quote for you. "The one world government is recognized as being centuries old. The New World Order is not new. It has been around and developing under one or another guise for a very long time, but it is perceived as a development of the future." Now, isn't that seeming like what exactly they're saying? The AI data centers will bring the future. AI is the future. Is it though? Or is it the future of our soon-to-come demise? He continues, "Which is not the case. The New World Order is past and present. That is why I said earlier that the term one world government is or ought to be preferred." Now, I think that's what these AI data centers are. I think they are trying to bring this one world government with their 2030 agenda. Mind you, this agenda that they likely already planned out from years ago. Because as I mentioned in one of the first videos, that they have this, they make plans 14 years in advance at times, and I'm sure even more than that. So I do not trust these AI data centers. I think it's intentional that they destroy our property, and the majority of people who seem to be in favor of these AI data centers, as you can see on this chart, is related to money. Now it's like, okay, but when it takes your resources and makes your living area uncomfortable, or local community residents more unhappy than they already are, because that just seems to be the trend right now, as pessimism is afoot for many people. And all for what? Money? Can you buy water if there is none? Can you buy the happiness for people who are no longer happy in their home, and nor can they sell it? No. So why would money even be important in a situation like this? And we should not be having a capitalist mindset as our top priority. People are the priority. So last point I will add about this topic is, remember when Trump first got in office and how he was signing all of those executive orders proposing or trying to push the production of energy? And it was like, yeah, look at this energy bill we signed and this executive order. Well, right here on Ballotpedia, you can see that these are all of the executive orders that Trump signed related to energy. Now, I do believe there is a larger conspiracy here, as we see that Trump is not keeping any of the promises that he said that he would. So it is clear that there is something there about him that changed, and he's not doing what he should. And it makes me wonder if the Committee of 300, the thugs, the mafia, are putting pressure on him to make these changes, because it will eventually bring down the United States, because if energy is expensive, everything will fall down after the fact. Now, last point of discussion for this episode, which I promised you, is an update on the email chain that I have. So I was originally talking to a Michelle Lavelle. I sent her an email and she replied to it telling me I'm supposed to go to this Colorado Springs webpage. I go there, but then there was an endless list of options to choose from. And mind you, considering I have to pay for these records that are supposed to be public, I want to choose the right one. So I want to make sure that I'm requesting the correct records and nothing excessive, because they're going to charge me based on the hour of what it costs them. Again, that seems unruly to me and just simply wrong, but that's how our society seems to be anymore. I also then went out of my way to email the CORE department, which is the Colorado Open Records Act department, and they have an email available on their website. I emailed them, and this is what they wrote and came back at me with. The Colorado Department of State has no record responsive to this request. Please note, this office does not process all open record requests for the state. You must request records directly from the appropriate government office or custodian of the records. Other agencies may have different processes for open record requests, so contact the appropriate office to review its process. Likely, you will need to direct your request to the city of Colorado Springs. Then I sent and forwarded that email to Michelle and asked her for clarity on where directly I should send these records. And mind you, out of the 3 emails, only one person responded, which was her. No one else responded, even though I sent those messages, those emails individually to each one of those individuals. But long story short, she gave me a runaround a little bit, still didn't address it, told me to just go to the Colorado Springs website again. I told her that's exactly where I went. That is what the Corps responded to me with. Then I said, as I stated in my email, please give me clarity on where I'm supposed to apply. Then she finally sent me the email link. As you can see here, I was able to successfully submit a Corps request, and I have the confirmation number right here. So I will continue to update you guys as I get updated, and I look forward to being able to share this information with you all. I do think that this is important and more people should do it, and why they make it so difficult goes back to the theme of why I'm even talking about this book in the first place. It seems that many things in the government are intentionally made difficult so the citizens can't achieve any change, but we should all make a difference and an impact on a local level, so that even if they're trying it, well, we'll just keep trying too. Thank you all for joining the HenShow Network. I hope you enjoy what I have to say, and have a good week, guys, and a nice weekend.
I'm not a fan of my God, I'm a fanatic. Sign it out phonetically, suited in a